So, welcome to this course on artificial intelligence, search methods for problem solving. This is a 12-week course in which we will basically cover a whole variety of search methods used for problem solving. We will spend the first week or so doing the history and a little bit of philosophy about AI, because it's a very popular subject and everybody is talking about AI. So, but it goes a long way back. The quest for building intelligent systems goes a long way back, and we will have a look at that. And after the first week, we will be into the technical stuff, which is mostly going to be algorithms. So, I have with me uh, two students, Rishabh and Krishnan, uh, uh, trying to make the course more interactive, and I hope they will ask the questions on your behalf, doubts which I may not have clarified well, and we can go ahead with that. So, we will begin with the introduction, and first I will give you a very quick overview of the syllabus. And so, this is the first part, which is the introduction, history and philosophy. We look at something called the Turing test. You must have heard about it, the Vinograd schema challenge. And then we will see where search comes into this vast landscape of AI. AI is actually quite a vast thing, and search, in fact, you talk about anything and it is only a particular subset of AI essentially, and we are looking at one subset of what goes into making intelligent systems. So, we will start with search spaces, state space search, depth first search, breadth first search, iterative deepening. Then we will move on to heuristic search, which is really the stuff AI search methods are about, and we will look at local search as well, stochastic local search. Then we will look at population based methods, things like genetic algorithms and ant colony optimization, and then move on to a very well known algorithm called A star, which is used for finding optimal solutions. After that, we will look at some space saving versions of A star. So, throughout the course, we will see that one of the greatest adversaries that search faces is combinatorial explosion, because you have searching through all possible choices. The search tree tends to grow exponentially, and therefore, the space required would be exponential and the time also would be exponential. And a lot of this part of the course that we have just discussed would be trying to find this to fight this combinatorial explosion. So, we will look at some space saving versions of A star there, and we look at the problem of sequence alignment, which has come thanks to all the work in bioinformatics. Then we will look at uh, game playing, and by games we mean board games, games like chess and so on, not video games or not graphic games, but board games. And that is often the feedback I get is that that is the most exciting part of the course. Then we look at planning, because planning is something that all intelligent agents do essentially. They are in some position, they want to achieve a goal. How do you arrive at a plan for achieving your goal? We will also look at backward search approach called the AO star algorithm, where you reason from the goal towards the current state essentially, and ask questions like what it takes to achieve a goal that you want to achieve essentially. We will also look at forward chaining inference systems, pattern directed inference systems, which was a big craze in the 80s, and the whole idea of expert systems came through that. And we will see a very interesting algorithm called the rate algorithm, which is used to implement that efficiently. And finally, we will look at constraint processing. Constraint processing by many people has been called as the holy grail of AI, and it is interesting because it combines different ways of problem solving and it subsumes search in some sense. So, we will look at a few algorithms in that area. So, about textbook and references. So, the textbook that I will use is a book that I published about 7-8 years ago. It is called A First Course in Artificial Intelligence. It is a thick book, about 950 pages. We won't be covering all of it, just about the first 7 chapters or so essentially. Then there is a whole host of references which we can use. Some of these are the books which, for example, I had started studying in one, this book by Patrick Winston, a book by Rich and Knight. This is a second book. Earlier there was a book by Ellen Rich herself, and a book by uh, Charniak and McDermott, which was, so these three books are the ones that I had studied when I was a student, but these are, as you can see, most of them are quite old essentially. And so, let us move on to our tasks. What is the task that we are looking at? We want to build an intelligent agent, and an intelligent agent, by this we mean a program which is persistent, which means it is there all the time, which is autonomous, which acts autonomously, which is proactive, which can decide what goals to achieve next, and it is also goal directed, that once you have goals, it is it follows those goals. The goals can be given by human users as well. So, the basic idea behind intelligent agent is what we think of as AI. It is an autonomous entity which acts intelligently uh, and acts proactively and is goal directed. In some sense, we can say that human beings are also agents. So, human beings would also fall in this class of agents, because we satisfy all these properties most of the time. Now, the first thing that an intelligent agent needs to do is to carry a model of the world essentially in its head. If an agent is to act intelligently, it must have a model of the world it is operating in its head, and it does reasoning over that model essentially. That is the first requirement essentially. This model obviously is abstraction, because all models are abstractions of reality. You cannot represent reality accurately in that sense. You always abstract away some features, you extract away, and some, the ones that you want, you keep essentially. Now, since we are talking about intelligent agents, uh, a self-aware agent would model itself in the world model that it has in its head. So, this is a picture I had drawn some time ago. If this is the world that the agent is operating in, and this human like face is the agent, and inside the agent is a model. As you can see, the model that I have drawn is an oval. It is only an approximation or an abstraction of the real world, and what I have tried to say here is that in that model, it models itself as being part of the world domain essentially. So, if an agent is to be self-aware. So, the view of AI that we are taking is an information processing view of AI. So, you can think of it as three layers, a three-layer phenomena. At the outermost layer, we perceive the external world through either light or whatever, sound or whatever the case may be. There are various ways we get signals into that, and so the outermost layer of an intelligent system must be able to process the signals. These signals are converted into symbols, and we will see that the kind of AI that we are looking at here is the symbolic reasoning approach to AI, or classical AI it is sometimes called, and that is where we reason with the symbols essentially. We will look at this diagram variations of this as we go along, and finally, the agent has to act in the real world. I mean, and that could be motor control. It could include things like generating speech or controlling a robot which is moving around and so on, but that control is also done through a signal. So, we sense the world using signals that we receive, then we create internal representations, which in our case will be symbolic in nature, and then we act upon the world, which means we generate signals again essentially. So, this is the information processing view of AI. We will come back to this definition again and again. So, an autonomous agent basically has these three layers, and the outermost layer, as I said, is the signal processing layer. The intermediate layer is a neo fuzzy layer, which is basically the kind of stuff that is very popular now, neural networks. And the innermost layer deals with symbolic reasoning, where we reason with symbols essentially. And at the same time, we must see that an autonomous agent senses the world, creates an internal representation on which it deliberates, and then acts upon the world essentially in some. The relative sizes of these regions is only, I am using them to emphasize the fact that when we talk about reasoning and we talk about things like search, a large part of intelligence is captured there essentially. We will see a little bit more of this. So, what are the building blocks which go into AI? AI is not one algorithm, it is not one monolithic algorithm. Marvin Minsky, for example, wrote a book called The Society of the Mind essentially. So, the mind is not just one monolithic thing, it is made up of many different things, and the whole thing comes together as an intelligent agent. So, what are all the things that if you want to build an intelligent agent, what all do you need? We need to be able to sense. Remember, the first part on the left of this screen is sensing. So, you want to you may want to use smell. Mostly we do not use smell nowadays, but who knows, in the future you may want to use that. Speech, definitely we want to process. Images, most definitely computer vision is part of that, and even touch, because if you are designing robots which have to pick up a glass, for example, you have to handle this tactile sensing. Then comes the neural network part, which is instrumental in transforming the signal into a symbol. So, deep neural networks is the current rage, as you all know. Machine learning is almost synonymous with AI for many people. Reinforcement learning is something that we will very briefly talk about, pattern recognition. But apart from that, there is also natural language understanding, knowledge discovery, and handling uncertainty. So, as you can see, we are gradually moving into this cyan part, is it cyan or greenish part of the circle, which is to do with symbolic reasoning. Then we talk about memory. An intelligent agent must remember things essentially, and it must remember, it must represent the world, and that is a field we call as knowledge representation. It is associated with reasoning and ontology and logic and deduction and semantics and qualitative reasoning. Different kinds of reasoning are possible. What I have shown in red here is what we will be covering in this course. So, we will see logical deduction in this course, and we will see that it is the basis of doing deduction is search essentially, that you use search to make inferences, which we sometimes call as reasoning. What we will also study is search, as we have said, this is the focus of the course. We look at problem solving and see that what is it that the agent has to achieve. We will look at planning, as I had mentioned earlier, adversarial reasoning. By this we mean game playing, because you have an adversary and you are not just acting alone in the world, and constraints, which, as I said, is a kind of a generalization of all this stuff. So, the stuff in red is what we will be covering in this course essentially. Then there are other things like natural language generation, speech synthesis, generating graphics or robot control. All this would go into building an intelligent agent essentially. So, what is intelligence? That's a question that everyone asks. We will start with a simple definition. Maybe we will come back to this and see how do you define intelligence, but the three components that I consider necessary for intelligent behavior or intelligence is that one must remember the past, or the agent must remember the past, not only remember the past and learn from it essentially. So, there are various fields in AI where people talk about this. So, memory and experience is handled in a subject called case based reasoning, where everything is a case which is stored in the memory of the agent essentially, which is directly reusing the experience. But you can learn something from your experience, and that is the whole field of machine learning, which is so popular now. And a consequence of the fact that you remember the past, you are able to recognize objects, faces, patterns, and all that is happening in this world of deep neural networks. Then you have to understand the present, be aware of the world around you essentially, create a model of the world and we will refer to this as knowledge representation. Make inferences from what you know, logic and reasoning. So, not only do you see things and become aware of them, you also make inferences as to what else must be true as part of that. And finally, you must be able to imagine the future, work towards your goal. So, you must be able to imagine as to if you do certain actions, then what will be the consequences of that actions, and eventually this you will use to choose a sequence of actions that are required for you to achieve your goal. And this is going to be the thrust of this particular course, which is imagining the future and searching for solutions. So, we talk about things like goals, plans and actions and automated planning.